Baseball is back, and so is MLB The Show 21, this time making its debut on the PS5 and Xbox Series X. Expectations for the game are at an all-time high, with San Diego studio creating a huge buzz prior to launch with live streams, promoting many of the game's new features, including new analog pitching controls, the addition of a stadium creator mode, and tons of changes to Diamond Dynasty. Many of these changes make MLB The Show 21 one of the deepest baseball games you'll ever play, but there are some issues that prevent it from achieving perfection. This is where MLB The Show 21 shines. SGS has always done an excellent job of adding new gameplay features without removing and/or sacrificing current ones, and MLB The Show 21 is no exception. The biggest addition in the latest edition of the show is pinpoint pitching, which is very similar to MLB 2K's analog pitching controls, in which you use the left stick to aim the pitch and a specific gesture or motion with the right stick to throw it. The speed, timing, and accuracy of the gesture will determine how accurate the pitch will be. There is a definite learning curve here, but once you master it, you'll be striking out batters in no time. Of course, if you want to revert back to the older pitching mechanics like meter or pulse pitching, you can as well, which is great for those who may find the new pitching mechanics to be too challenging. The same applies to fielding, throwing, and hitting as well. Gamers have several options at their disposal when it comes to fielding aids when catching fly balls and line drives, using the buttons or analog stick when throwing on defense, and utilizing zone, directional, or analog hitting when behind the plate. The same applies to base running, as you have several options at your disposal as well. With the exception of the new fielding aids, there aren't many changes here. Users will be able to pick and choose among all of these gameplay options in addition to the game's difficulty settings the first time they turn on the game. Having the freedom to pick and choose which controls and difficulty best fit your playstyle ultimately results in an enjoyable experience for all, whether you're new to the show or a grizzly veteran. MLB The Show 21's visuals are disappointing to say the least. I was hoping to see a significant upgrade in the game's graphics on the PS5, but as expected, after seeing the gameplay videos SGS released prior to launch, MLB The Show 21 looks similar to its PS4 counterparts. With the exception of sharper visuals and improved lighting, player models look exactly the same as previous versions of the show, from player faces, body types, jerseys, fans, and stadiums. Faces look downright cartoonish, and don't get me started on the game's non-existent hair physics. The graphical jump you would expect on next gen isn't there at all. When you have other sports games like NBA 2K21 creating player models that look exactly like their real-life counterparts on next gen, SGS has no excuses here. They should have done a much better job in the graphics department. Matt Vasgersian, Mark DeRosa, and Dan Plesac return as play-by-play commentators in MLB The Show 21, with Heidi Watney appearing during games as the sideline reporter. Gamers can also choose between the show or MLB Network-style presentation visuals, which is awesome to have the option to switch between the two. The broadcast team does a solid job of calling the in-game action, but it's obvious that there are some recycled lines heard in previous iterations of the show. Although I am a fan of Matt Vasgersian, who's been the main play-by-play announcer for the show since forever, I do think it's time SGS makes a change here and adds a new main voice for the show, as his role has gotten a bit stale. MLB The Show 21 has also added video podcast commentary to the PS5 and Xbox Series X versions of Road to the Show, in which various MLB broadcasters and journalists provide insight into your created player's career as he progresses from the minors to the show. It's a nice addition from a presentation standpoint, and I'll dig into it a bit deeper later in this review. The biggest strength of MLB The Show 21 is its replay value. Gamers have a ton of different modes to keep them busy throughout the baseball season. Sure, some of these modes are essentially the same as previous years, but there is more than enough new content to keep baseball fans occupied for a very long time. New to this series is the Stadium Creator feature, which gives players the ability to create their own stadium from scratch. Gamers can do just about anything in this mode, from changing ballpark dimensions, wall height, grass and field types, stadium seating, among other scenery options. The number of things you can do here are endless. Players can also share and download ballparks that other players have created online. This was one of the most requested features for MLB The Show, and now PS5 and Xbox Series X gamers have it, but there are two issues of concern for this mode, which you should be aware of. One, for some reason you can't play night games in a created stadium, and two, there is no search function when browsing user-created stadiums. Other modes like Exhibition, Retro Mode, Home Run Derby, Moments, March to October, and Franchise also make their return to MLB The Show 21 with little to no changes, but all modes offer the same fun and excitement as it did last year. The biggest focus and changes in MLB The Show 21 come from the game's Diamond Dynasty and Road to the Show modes. Diamond Dynasty, which is MLB The Show's card collection mode, provides the same type of modes as in previous years, like Showdown and Battle Royale, but the main difference in the Show 21 is that it's more generous in giving gamers ample opportunities to earn new cards and items. You can carry your Road to the Show player over to the mode as well, and new community parallel cards have been added, which allows you to level up each player card up to 5 times to keep them relevant for a longer period. Road to the Show, which is the game's create-a-player career mode, has received a few changes from last year's version, but I wouldn't call them significant. Your player has the option to be a two-way player at the start of his career, meaning that they can be a hitter and a pitcher without you needing to create a new save file in order to switch between the two roles. It's a nice option, but keep in mind you'll have to play several games before officially being entrenched as a two-way player. The storyline in this year's Road to the Show is still a text and menu-driven affair, but PS5 and Xbox Series X users do get video commentary on your performance between games, which is a nice addition, but it isn't anything revolutionary. Another thing of note is that you can no longer do carryover saves from previous games, which is a huge blow for those who like to carry over their Road to the Show players year over year. Server issues have plagued the game at early launch, and it seems as if that trend is continuing as of this review. Not having access to stubs, items, and other things like Road to the Show progress not registering due to these problems are simply inexcusable. Hopefully SDS cleans these issues up sooner rather than later, otherwise gamers who invested their time and money into the Show 21 will riot. MLB The Show 21 is the deepest baseball simulation game on consoles today. Its solid gameplay, flexible controls, and plethora of modes make it a game that anyone can play, from your hardcore baseball sim player who wants to dig deep into complex modes like Road to the Show, Franchise, or Diamond Dynasty, to your novice newbie who wants to play a quick exhibition game or home run derby. It's unfortunate, however, that its graphical flaws, removal of transferable saves, stale Road to the Show storyline, and other problems like server issues at launch prevent it from being a home run. Well, that's it for this episode of Sports Gamers Show. What are your thoughts on the game? Leave them in the comments, and make sure to follow me on all my social channels and add me on Xbox Live and the PlayStation Network at Sports Gamers Show.